Nicola Sturgeon gets destroyed by Andrew Neil, and we look at the SNP's track record in government. Right, we all know who Nicola Sturgeon is by now. She's the leader of the Scottish Nationalist Party, and she's pretty good at public speaking, debating. In fact, the recent leaders debate that we had between Jeremy Corbyn, Boris Johnson, Joe Swinson and Nicola Sturgeon. Actually, Sturgeon was the one that came across quite well. She was very professional because she's been a leader for a long time. She's been the First Minister of Scotland for a few years now. But that doesn't mean that she should be trusted. That doesn't mean that her track record is right. So in this video, we're going to talk about some of the things that they promised, the SNP, they promised to do in government in Scotland, but in reality, none of it actually happened. Starting with education, because the SNP are very proud to boast about how tuition fees are free, it's easy to go to university and the standards of education are high, but in reality that's not the case, because Scotland is by far the worst country in the UK to be a disadvantaged student. The richest Scottish students are 3.53 times more likely to enter university aged 18 or younger, via UCAS, than the poorest ones. This is compared with 2.58 in Northern Ireland, 2.56 in Wales, and 2.52 in England. Fewer than 1 in 10 young people from the most disadvantaged areas begin to study towards a degree by the age of 20. And the problems are actually getting worse. Just 8.4% of entrants into Scotland's elite universities came from the poorest communities in 2014-15, down from 8.8% the previous year. Now, education is a big thing, and the SNP use that platform a lot to get re-elected every time there's an election. But in reality, it's not the only thing that they're failing the Scottish people. Let's talk about poverty in Scotland. The SNP is not only failing Scots in schools and universities. The number of working age adults living in absolute poverty after housing costs rose by 80,000 between 2010-11 and 2013-14. The number of children living in absolute poverty also rose by 30,000, and the number of pensioners by 20,000. This also applies to life expectancy in Glasgow, which is a year lower than any other part of the UK. Indeed, life expectancy across Scotland is almost 2 years younger than the rest of this country, even though Scotland has the highest health expenditure per head of any UK country. Now, another issue with Nicola Sturgeon and her idiotic party is Brexit and also Scottish independence. Now, they are constantly campaigning for the Scottish independence, even though they lost the referendum in 2014, and they did say that this was a once-in-a-lifetime vote, but they're not going to give up, which is fair. That's what they care about. But in reality, what they say is that they want to remain in the EU. They're against Brexit, but they want to leave another union, the United Kingdom. And they say that we have to stay in the EU because it's good for trade and the economy and being close and cooperate with our European friends. And if we leave, we can't do that. And then they say we want to leave the United Kingdom, but that doesn't mean that it's going to affect our trade with the UK or cooperation on security or anything else. They say even if we leave the UK, we can still do all that. But if we leave the EU, we can't do that. Now, the other problem with the SNP is that they want to keep their currency. They want to keep sterling. And firstly, when it comes to the pound sterling, it's the UK's currency. You can't just take it. And they have no plan whatsoever for what they're going to be doing financially if they do happen to get their independence at some point. And Nicola Sturgeon's going around with her party, even though she's not actually standing in all Westminster seats. She's saying that she's advocating for Brexit to be cancelled. Who are you to decide for the rest of the UK? If only you're standing in your Scottish seats, who are you to tell people in England or even Wales or Northern Ireland that what's good for them? It's not your job. It's not your party's job. Now, we're going to talk about fact checkers a lot during this election. Actually, I'm going to post another video straight after this about fact checkers, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you get notified about that. But they don't really fact check the SNP or Labour too much, comparing to the Tories, for example. Thank God we have people like Andrew Neil, who interviewed Nicola Sturgeon, and he exposed the SNP's track record on health.
2 of your 8 waiting time targets being hit. You've been in for a long while. You haven't hit the A&E target since 2017. The 2-month cancer target you haven't hit since 2013. Children are dying in a new Glasgow hospital because the water's contaminated, perhaps by pigeon droppings. A new multi-million-pound Edinburgh hospital should have opened in 2012, is still unfit to open. You can't even get the ventilation system to work. You've got the worst drug addiction problem in Europe, but you cut drug treatment budgets by 15 million. You clung on to your last health minister. You're under pressure now to sack a successor. I mean, you've called for legislation to protect the NHS from Donald Trump. Maybe the NHS needs legislation to protect it from Nicola Sturgeon.
Yes, as I mentioned, we're going to do another video straight after this on fact checkers and how biased or unbiased they are. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click on the bell next to it so you get notified when I release a new video. And we also have obviously our merchandise site. You could check it out. We have the new t-shirts. All I want for Christmas is Brexit, but also the Get Brexit Done, Make Britain Independent Again. Obviously we have various t-shirt designs and coffee mugs and everything. If you have any design ideas, make sure you leave a comment below and I'll check them out. And as always, I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.